Do you think the suicide crisis amongst young people is partially a result of discouraging creative and critical thinking in the school system, thereby imprisoning them in the no exit left brain?
Research by American psychologist Jean Twen, they just asked them the same questions about how happy they were, how anxious they were, etc. And what it found was that anxiety, depression, loneliness, and a sense of the worthlessness of life was 5 to 8 times higher in 2007 than it had been in 1930. So for all the improvements that we think we've brought about in our world, where everybody must be much happier now, people are not much happier now. That should stop us thinking. And it's not 5 to 8% higher, which would be kind of significant. It's 5 to 8 times as many. If you really wanted to make a totally miserable world, what you'd do is take people as far away from the natural world as possible and surround them by machines and virtuality. You would disrupt society, set individual against individual, and say that everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do, quite regardless of what might be good for the well-being of a community and a society. And you tell people that religion was all rot and that essentially they didn't mean anything, the world didn't mean anything, and the sooner it was over, the better. If you do that, you'll make a very, very unhappy world, and the evidence is that we are. That epidemic of suicide and the underlying angst, depression, despair, emptiness, boredom that seems to characterize the world that young people are inheriting has many causes. Well, what is the matter with things? 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 And one is this view that we are nothing but. I talk about the school of nothing buttery, in which, people say, oh, it's nothing but, or we're nothing but, and so on. This is always fallacious. It's always hiding a piece of shoddy thinking, because nothing is ever nothing but anything else. However, I think it comes from many causes. I think all the things that, what we essentially need is meaning. A life without meaning is not worth living. And I want to get rid of one misconception right away. This doesn't mean that we should invent meaning. It means that we should discover meaning. Meaning is there, all right. Beauty is there, all right. Complexity is there, all right. Purpose is there, I argue. And I haven't got time to argue that, but I do in the book. All right. They're there. They're there. But it is our task to respond, to see them, and to incorporate them. They're there, and when we do, life becomes rich. We start to flourish. Society starts to flourish. When we don't, the opposite of all those things is the case. What has very much struck me is the effect of social cohesion. So belonging to a cohesive social group, which is not just a group of people, a bubble sphere on the internet that just happen to share opinions, but a living group of people who are able, hard at the moment I know, but to share their lives. To share their lives. The second is belonging in nature, and we've done everything we can to alienate ourselves from nature, to treat it as a resource that is to be exploited, and many of us don't live surrounded by nature. Sadly, have no choice other than to live in this dispossessed, concrete world. But the research on this is massive, makes a huge difference to cognitive ability, to memory, but also to sense of happiness and anxiety, to sense of worth, and to behavior. And the third one, surprise, surprise, is spirituality, is believing in a spiritual world, and preferably being actively involved in a community that worship together. So these three things are now rather rare in our world. Where they exist, they do help.